Tomorrow, ladies and gents, we paint. We're going to be painting them just white. We're gonna paint over all the conduit, all the beams, kind of hopefully just to clean up the walls, because you know, they're pretty cluttered. My biggest pet peeve about the shop right now is that when I'm filming with this camera, everything looks kind of yellow and it looks gross. So painting the walls should fix that. Now, unfortunately today, Audrey is not here to help, but I do have two helpers. Come on in, guys. We've got Keegan.
Hey, I'm Keegan. I'm
Audrey's little brother.
And Daniel.
My name's Daniel, local to the Athens area. Seen Caleb needed some help painting stuff, so here I am. 3 years later, about to knock it out.
Before we paint, we have to get the walls ready. We do have to clean like the conduit. We have to scuff up some of the metal stuff. We have to tape off the floor. But yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's just start doing the tedious stuff. All right, so we're starting with some kills. So we didn't do that last time, that was a mistake. So this was just the primer. Also, look at already how better the camera looks on here.
See me when I started versus now.
You should have seen you before you washed your arms.
I definitely washed my
entire
arms,
body
my
all
face,
looks like that.
My hat.
So the last few clips were a bit of a failure. We managed to get both of the spaces primered, but it was miserable. That is because I chose to ignore the weather. See, on Saturday, the day we tried to paint, it was thunderstorming, and I mean like seriously thunderstorming all day. That caused two things. One, it was really humid. Two, physical water was getting in here because of the roof leaks. And due to that, the floor was an absolute sloppy mess because all the overspray was falling to the ground, and instead of drying, it was mixing with the water and just becoming just terrible. And all the paint on the walls would not dry. We let it sit for 4 hours and it was still just as wet as it was when we applied it. And so we called it quits, which we shouldn't have even painted to begin with. I came back the next day, paint was still wet because it was still cloudy and humid out. So this is Monday, 2 days later, the paint is finally dry and we're going to continue. But let me say, if it's raining outside, don't paint. It doesn't work, it's not worth it. It was miserable. I think it's gonna be way easier and way nicer to paint today. So on the walls, we've got a nice satin white top coat going up. And then in the paint booth, we're doing a special color. Painting experience was infinitely better than Saturday. Really didn't even feel like there was much overspray anywhere at all. It went quickly, it laid down nicer. Don't paint in the rain. Right now I got the heater baking it up. Once it dries, I'll do one more layer, then we can move on to the paint booth. So with 2 top coat layers in this area, we are done with this room. It's not perfect, but it does look pretty good. And actually, it not being perfect makes it match the old shop better, so win-win. For the paint booth, we are gonna be painting it black. I know that might seem a little counterintuitive, but this isn't just gonna be a paint booth, it's also going to be like a showroom, a cinematic area. We're getting very cool lights in this area. It won't have anything else in it. It'll be a great place to take thumbnails, cinematics, product photos, etc. And I wanted a black room. I think it's gonna look cool. I don't think lighting is gonna be an issue. We're gonna get this place bright. But without any further ado, let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is paint the ceiling. So I got 5 gallons for the ceiling, 5 gallons for everything else. Hopefully that's enough. The ceiling's gonna suck because I'm gonna get it all over myself, but let's try it. So I'm running into a bit of an issue with the black. See, I got two different blacks. I got one that was cheaper from Home Depot for the ceiling because it's not gonna be seen as much. It's gonna be behind the lights and stuff. And then I got a more expensive one for the walls. Well, the more expensive one doesn't look black. So that's the cheaper black. That's the more expensive black. I think we can all agree that's purple. I'm hoping it's just like that when it's wet. So I'm gonna let it dry. If it is purple, then I'm just gonna freaking throw away 150 bucks worth of paint and get the Home Depot stuff. All right, well, it's essentially drawing the right color. So we're all good. I'm gonna go ahead and keep painting. Guys, here it is. Wow. Wow. Picturing what this place looked like when we first got it, this looks incredible. It does not look like a storage unit anymore. This is a storage unit? The white turned out pretty good. It's not quite as white as I wanted, you know? I chose the same white that's in the main shop, and it's the whitest white they have, you know, like the bluest, like coolest white, I should say. But it still looks a little yellow in here, which I don't love, but that's okay. This building, this wall looks incredible. It looks like it was always there. It looks like it's part of the place. And then we come into the really cool room. This place is pretty sick. The paint booth looks awesome. The satin black, it's like it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, but not shiny. In person, looks really awesome. It is hard to show it on camera with only these two big bright lights. And so that's the next step. Because this place, these are just all temporary lights. This is not the lighting setup. So let's get the lighting setup in here. Now the lights that are currently on here right now are the lights that we are gonna be using in the white area of the shop, which are these. This is Hyperlite's Saturn Series High Bay LED. These are their 100 watt lights, which are actually their dimmest light. But that's good because this is a high bay light and the ceilings in there aren't that tall. So we don't want super bright lights. Now, if you remember, Hyperlite is the same company that makes the lights for the main section of the shop, which have been awesome. They sponsored the original shop build and I contacted them like, want to send some more lights? And they were on board. We have 5 of these for the white section. For the paint booth, we have their hexagon lights. Now, I'm sure everybody has seen these lights on TikTok or Instagram. They look really cool and they're really bright, and I thought they were going to look sick in the paint booth. That's really the main reason we went with the black walls. That plus the hex lights, they look so cool. Now, we don't have all those yet, but we are going to start with these. The question is, where do I put them? Obviously, we want to do something like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. But here's the thing. If you look at the spots where we can mount them, we've got this beam, which is really far to the left, these 2 beams, which are in the middle, and then this beam, which is really far to the right. To be honest, I wish there was a beam in the middle of those, in the middle of this. We do have this conduit we might be able to use, but I guess I'm just gonna go ahead play around with it for a second. I know that was quick, but I figured it out. I'm gonna build mounts for the new lights off the old lights. Now, speaking of which, why did we landlord special the old lights? Well, that's because my landlord told us we couldn't touch them. See, the way these storage unit buildings are set up, the power for these lights is chained all the way down the row of buildings. And in order to remove these, we would have had to shut power off of the entire building. And since there are people in other units that may be wanting to use their lights, we couldn't do that. So we painted over them. Landlord special. But it makes the perfect place to build some mounts off of. So we haven't used the plasma cutter in a while, have we? So there we are. 4 of those Saturn series lights from Hyperlite. It is certainly plenty bright in here. In fact, it's actually brighter in here than it is in the main shop, because it's so much more white in here because there's nothing else in here yet. But we'll fix that soon enough. Now, the hexagon lights for the paint booth. So this is one of the 5 hex lights set up on the ground. Pretty much the way these lights work, it's a bunch of individual little light bars that get connected with these little plastic connectors. It's very simple, it's very cool. And the nice thing about this is it's modular. So you can kind of assemble them however you like. You can do individual squares, you can do it as a hex this way or a little bit wider. Now the problem about this is that it is not strong enough to hold itself up. So for instance, see how much flex there is? You know, that corner is still on the ground. If I tried to pick up just this corner, it would probably break somewhere, and that's no good. So when you're mounting it on a roof, it has to have some sort of structure behind it. Now, if you have a flat roof, boom, there you go. We don't. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up building a 2x4 structure, putting these lights onto said structure, and then hanging said structure. Because the 2x4 structure will be strong enough just to be hung by its own with a couple of wires, and then the lights will go onto that. Before I can do that, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the other box I have and see if I wanna put them together as one or as 2 separate pieces. Now, so this is like in one bay, right? So we have a couple different options. We have 2 separate ones like this, or it came with enough extra to connect them. So I could do that. And it's one really long one. The other option would be then to spin this and this, but there's not enough extra to make anything out of. And then it could be like that. Hey. That's pretty sick. So I played around with it, and I think this is going to be the plan. So we're gonna have 2 of these long strips in each bay. You can kind of see it's a little dark, but 2 in each bay. And then down this middle beam, I'm gonna get more just bar lights that we have kind of in the fab area. And that should evenly distribute the light. And then we're gonna put more lights on the walls, and that should be plenty bright. So over here I have some wood. Gonna build something, paint it black, and then try to hang it up. So that's the structure. 1 long 2x4 and a couple of 2x4s coming off it to support it. It stays nice and level, so it's supporting it just enough so it doesn't droop, but not so much that, you know, there's bars everywhere. And since it'll be behind the light, I don't think you're gonna see it. So I'm not too worried about that. And then the structure will be nice and easy to hang because it's solid, doesn't flex, and we can just hang it in a few spots on the ceiling. So I guess the next step is go ahead and paint it black. Well, ladies and gents, that's one of them up. They're brighter than I was expecting, which is good. You can definitely see the wood frame if you look closely, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, listen, there's no other way to do it, and it looks good. I love, you can see the reflection on the ground. That's pretty sick. I mean, look at that. Right now, they're just kind of haphazardly plugged in, but that's so cool. It's just one of those things. I don't know, man. Something about these hex lights. They just do it for us car guys. So it's pretty much hung up with 4 different chains, 1 on each end, 1 in the middle, and then 1 on the low side to pull it up a bit. And so that kind of got it all level and square. So here we are. It looks really, really sweet. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Huge thank you to Hyperlite for these lights. Definitely makes this place, this area, feel one of a kind, which is awesome. I mean, maybe not one of a kind. They're kind of popular nowadays, but in the black paint booth with the shiny floors, it does look awesome. Now I know I was talking about lights on the walls and this middle beam. We're gonna do that in a video where we finish this paint booth, you know, do the air circulation, do shelves, storage, all the stuff that the paint booth needs. For now, it's just these lights. But I would love to see how a car looks in here. Now Hyperlite sent me one more light. It is a outdoor light, which is something I needed because there's no lights outside, that is solar powered. So it doesn't have to be plugged in. Let's install it. It's really more designed to be like a parking lot light that like lights up a bigger area. But this is the easiest way to mount it right in front of the door. And it should at least kind of illuminate the front of the shop a bit at night. Let me tell you, when I leave at night, pitch black over here. There's not a single light in this entire area, so that's awesome. The solar panel obviously charges the battery and the light, but it also acts as a light sensor to tell the light when it turn on and off. So as the solar panel stops charging the light, then it gets brighter and brighter until full brightness at night. Let's give it a few hours and we'll see how it looks. And so guys, that is going to be it for this video. The lights, everything looks awesome. This place officially no longer looks like a storage unit. It is a shop, it's a full shop. And in the next video, we are going to be starting to move in. We're gonna build some awesome DIY storage solutions, get a lot of the stuff from the main area of the shop moved into back here, and start dialing in the main area of the shop. Because ultimately, that's the whole point of this place, is to make the main area of the shop even better. So you see how cool this place looks? Just wait till you see the main area of the shop. Huge thank you to Hyperlite and their reliable, solid lights. If you guys are interested in their hex lights, their Satin series high bays, or the high bays I have in the main section of the shop, check out the link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support on this series and on the Fit turbocharging series. We're getting back to work on that as well. Of course, if you want to stay up to date and get access to videos ahead of schedule, please check out Patreon. Your support on Patreon means the world to me and the channel. None of this would be possible without my Patreon. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.